tragic mistakes that shattered innocent lives, to betrayals that led to heartbreaking goodbyes. These are the most emotional moments in MLB history. And first, Albert Almora Jr. In May 2019, at Minute Maid Park, the Cubs were battling the Astros, and Albert Almora Jr. stepped up to the plate. He swung, and the sound of the bat hitting the ball echoed through the stadium. It's the kind of moment fans love, but this time, it's different. Watch as it unfolds. It's heartbreaking. The ball veers into the stands, a 2-year-old girl in its path. It strikes her in the head. Shock moves through the crowd. Almora freezes, then collapses to his knees. His hands squeeze his face as if trying to block out the reality of what just happened. He's shaking, inconsolable. In the dugout, he breaks down, crying on a security guard's shoulder, his grief laid plain for everyone to see. Look at the emotion on his face. This is something you'll never forget. The little girl is rushed to the hospital. Doctors deliver devastating news. The impact caused permanent brain damage. Her young life is changed forever. The fallout is immediate. Across the country, people demand better protection for fans. Major League Baseball responds, extending protective netting in stadiums. Almora speaks publicly, his voice breaking, saying, "Right now, I'm just praying. And yeah, I'm speechless. I'm at a loss of words." Man, this moment hit harder than any baseball ever could. It left the world stunned and reminded everyone how a single moment can change lives forever. But for every heartbreaking moment like this, there are stories where the weight of grief transforms into enduring love and tribute. Oscar Taveras and Yordano Ventura. Oscar Taveras was living the dream. At just 22 years old, he was one of baseball's brightest young stars, breaking out as a top prospect for the St. Louis Cardinals. To celebrate his rising fame, he got himself a red Camaro, customized with flashy rims to reflect his team's colors. Oscar's confidence on the field matched the boldness of his car. It wasn't just a ride, it symbolized the momentum he was building, both in life and in his career. But on a day that should have been ordinary, everything changed. While speeding down the road in the Dominican Republic, Oscar lost control of the car. The crash was devastating. When the news broke, everyone was shocked. St. Louis Cardinals outfielder Oscar Taveras has died in a car crash. His girlfriend was also killed. The wreckage was beyond belief. The Camaro was completely destroyed, twisted into an unrecognizable heap. There was no chance of survival. In one instant, a life full of promise was gone. Thousands gathered for his funeral, mourning not just a baseball player, but a son, a friend, and a hero. Across the league, players paid their respects, but no one felt the loss as deeply as Yordano Ventura, one of Oscar's closest friends. Yordano paid tribute in the most heartfelt way. During a World Series game, he pitched with Oscar's initials that said RIP OT number 18 on his cap, a silent but powerful gesture that reminded everyone watching of his friend's enduring spirit. It was unforgettable, showing the deep bond they shared. But then came a mysterious twist. Despite the loss of his friend, Yordano didn't take the tragedy as a cautionary tale. He designed a custom car of his own, complete with personalized rims, an impressive sound system, and an eye-catching interior. It was bold, it was flashy, and it was unmistakably his. One night, Yordano's life took a tragic turn. Driving that very car, he lost control. His Jeep flipped into a ditch. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt and was thrown from the vehicle. What followed was even more chilling. People found him lying injured, but instead of helping, they robbed him. Minutes later, Yordano succumbed to his injuries. Two promising careers, two young stars gone in eerily similar ways. Yordano's funeral brought another wave of heartbreak. For his hometown, he wasn't just a player. He was a source of pride and hope. Fans came out in droves, wearing his jersey and honoring his memory in every way they could. A former teammate captured his legacy perfectly. Every time he took the mound, he wasn't just pitching for himself. He was pitching for his entire community. The Royals honored him with a patch on their jerseys, a simple yet powerful way to keep his spirit alive. Sometimes life imitates tragedy in ways we can't explain. Stories like Oscar's and Yordano's leave us wondering what could have been. But not all moments in baseball come from a place of loss. Some come from the strength to move forward, just like Prince Fielder. A name that once defined power in Major League Baseball, he was unstoppable. For years, he crushed home runs with a strong swing that looked effortless. During his reign, Prince played 547 consecutive games, a streak lasting nearly 3 seasons. But then, the one opponent he couldn't defeat showed up: his own body. Prince's swing was a masterpiece. He could turn any pitch into a walk-off homer, sending the ball flying as fans cheered. He broke records, won home run derbies, and earned all-star titles. He even helped lead his team to a World Series, representing everything great about baseball. But all of that changed in an instant. Reports emerged that Prince was battling a herniated disc in his neck. At first, it seemed like a short break would fix it, but when doctors took a closer look, the news was far worse. His spine had shifted from years of powerful swings, pinching nerves and leaving his arms cool and weak. His strength had become his downfall, and it was gut-wrenching to watch. Surgery became unavoidable. Fans hoped he'd bounce back, and Prince himself promised to return stronger. But when he came back to the field, it was clear things weren't the same. His swing lacked strength, and the pain was getting worse. The next impact was devastating. Another spinal surgery was needed, and after the surgery, he was faced with a decision no athlete ever wants to make. He could keep playing and risk a lifetime of constant pain, or he could step away and focus on his health. On August 10, 2016, in Arlington, Texas, Prince held an emotional press conference announcing the end of his career. "The doctors told me I can't play baseball anymore," he said, his voice breaking. Standing beside him were his sons, holding his hands tightly as if to keep him grounded in this heart-shattering moment. Through the tears, he shared how his boys helped him cope. At home, they'd just say, "Dad, come play video games," like nothing had changed. His gratitude poured out as he thanked his teammates, coaches, and especially his wife, who had been his constant support. "She always made me feel like I was still the same person, no matter what," he said, his words filled with raw emotion. Even through the pain, Prince found his way forward. Retirement closed the door on a legendary career, but it opened another. He poured his energy into his family and discovered a love for cooking, finding new joy beyond the game he had sacrificed so much for. Man, going from crushing homers to having your whole world upside down. But not every emotional moment is about losing it all. Some are about fighting to hold on to what matters most. Wilmer Flores. Look at this moment. Crowds are on their feet, shouting and clapping, but it's not about a home run or a game-saving play. The energy is different, a wave of emotion, increasing every second. Wilmer Flores steps up to the plate, gripping his bat, trying to stay locked in. But the buzz in the stadium isn't about the score. It's about him. Rumors are swirling that Wilmer, a player who had been with the Mets since he was 16, has been traded. And here's the wild part. Wilmer doesn't even know. Now the cheers feel heavier. His eyes start to water, and his face is a mix of confusion and heartbreak. By the time the inning ends, Wilmer is visibly shaken, wiping tears as he heads to the dugout. He's not just playing a game. He's trying to hold it together while his world shifts around him. Trades are a part of baseball. They happen all the time, but this hits different. Wilmer wasn't just losing a team, he was losing his home and family. New York was all he'd known since he was a teenager, and yet, there he was, still playing. Fans were baffled. How is someone still in the game when rumors say he's already gone? It didn't add up. The Mets front office, watching it all unfold, started to reconsider. They saw tears, the pride, the love Wilmer had for the team and the city. This wasn't just business anymore. It was personal. Then came change. The trade had been canceled. Wilmer Flores wasn't going anywhere. The very next game, Wilmer was back at the plate. The crowd held their breath, and the weight of the past 24 hours still hung in the air. And then, Flores swings. Deep to left center field. Back it goes! It's out of here! The stadium blasted. The man who was almost traded hit a walk-off home run, giving New York the greatest moment of redemption. Fans shouted louder than they had in years, celebrating not just the win, but everything Wilmer stood for. After the game, Wilmer spoke through a mix of tears and gratitude. "I love being in New York. The support I get here is unbelievable." This wasn't just about baseball. It was about loyalty, heart, and the deep bonds between players and fans. Wilmer Flores reminded everyone that this game is more than stats and contracts. His tears, his resilience, and that unforgettable home run showed why baseball is more than just a sport. For the Mets, it was a lesson in understanding the human side of the game. And then there's Aaron Judge, a player whose power isn't just in his bat, but in the way he brings people together. Aaron Judge home run ball. It's another moment in baseball. Watch Aaron Judge at the plate. The crowd is lively. Every eye set on the star that has dominated all season. The pitcher winds up, releases the pitch, and Judge swings with the kind of power that echoes through the park. Drilled to left field, deep into the second deck. The ball rockets off his bat, flying into the stands like a missile. The crowd bursts as fans run, trying to catch the home run ball. A Blue Jays fan catches it cleanly, holding it high above his head. The highest remembrance from one of the game's biggest stars. But then, something way bigger than the game happened. Just a few seats away, a young boy in an Aaron Judge jersey looking at all that just played out. His face expresses pure awe, a hint of hope, and a quiet wish that that ball could be his. And then, the moment that changes everything. The Blue Jays fan looks at the boy, sees the spark in his eyes, and without delay, hands him the ball. Just like that. The boy freezes, completely shocked. For a second, the realization hits, and tears pour down his face. He takes the ball close, overwhelmed by the kindness of a stranger, and the once-in-a-lifetime moment now in his hands. Cameras zoom in, capturing the raw emotion, and the crowd shouts, not for the home run, but for the humanity on display. Man, this is the magic of baseball. The fan smiles, soaking in the boy's happiness as the crowd around them cheers. Later, Aaron Judge hears about what happened. His reaction says it all. Man, that's passion right there, he says with a smile. You gotta respect the fan who caught the ball and gave it to the kid. That's what this game is about. It's bigger than teams. It's about moments like this. For the young boy, that ball became a symbol of kindness, a connection to his hero, and a memory he'll carry forever. For the Blue Jays fan, it wasn't just about the game. It was a moment that showed the true heart of baseball, where compassion matters more than the score. But baseball isn't always about joy and magic. Sometimes it's about heartbreak, and even the most cherished bonds can be tested and broken. Freddy Freeman. Look at Freddy Freeman, who was living the dream. An MVP, a World Series champion, and the heartbeat of the Atlanta Braves. For over a decade, he wasn't only the face of the team, he was the Braves. He led them to their first championship in 26 years and became a symbol of everything fans loved about the game. But under the surface, a betrayal was brewing, one that changed everything. Freddy wasn't just an ordinary player in Atlanta. Signed at 17, he grew up with the team, spending nearly half his life there. The fans adored him, and he made it clear how much he loved them back. In a heartfelt interview, he left no doubt about where he wanted to be. This is the Atlanta Braves. I've been here since I was 17 years old. Almost half my life has been in this organization. Everyone knows where my heart is, he says. The fans rallied behind him, urging the Braves to lock in their MVP. Freddy was family. To them, letting him go wasn't even an option. But then, everything took a shocking turn. News broke that Freddy had signed a $162 million deal with the Los Angeles Dodgers. It shocked the baseball world. Why would he leave the team he called home? Even Freddy seemed out of place during his Dodgers introduction, smiling for the cameras. But it wasn't hard to tell something didn't feel right. Behind that smile, there was a devastating truth no one saw coming. Here's where the betrayal comes to light. Freddy had no idea the Braves wanted him back. They'd offered him a $135 million deal that he would have accepted in a heartbeat, but he never saw that offer. His agency, Excel Sports Management, kept it from him. Why? Because they wanted the Dodgers deal. A bigger contract meant a bigger commission for them. Freddy's loyalty and love for the Braves didn't matter to them. Only the money did, and they were willing to betray their own client to get it. When Freddy discovered the truth, man, he was angry. He fired the agency on the spot, but the damage was done. The Dodgers deal was signed. Freddy Freeman would never wear a Braves jersey again. Months later, Freddy returned to Atlanta as a Dodger, but the second he stepped onto the field, it was clear his heart had never left. The Braves honored him with his World Series championship ring, Standing at home plate, Freddy was overwhelmed. The crowd assembled in a standing ovation, chanting his name over and over. Tears rolled down his face. He could barely find the words. "Every sort of emotion," he said through the tears. "From the bottom of my heart, thank you for the support you've shown me. I know I'm wearing a different uniform now, but I still love each and every one of you." Freddy's goodbye wasn't of his choosing. It was something that was taken from him that he thought would last forever. However, this next moment didn't end with a standing ovation. It was a sad reminder of just how breakable life can be. Roy Halladay's perfect game and tragic death. Roy Halliday was a man driven by passion. On the field, he was untouchable, a 2-time Cy Young winner and an 8-time All-Star. Off the field, he found joy in something completely different: flying. For Roy, being in the air wasn't just a hobby, it was freedom. But what happened on November 7th, 2017 was far from freedom. Roy took his Icon A5 aircraft for a flight over the Gulf of Mexico. The plane was smart, fast, and built for adventure, which matched Roy's personality perfectly. What should have been another joy-filled ride turned into heartbreak. Roy's plane crashed into the water, leaving the sports world stunned. Investigators later revealed he had been performing low-altitude, high-speed tricks over the waves, moves considered risky even for experienced pilots. At just 40 years old, baseball had lost one of its brightest stars. The details of the crash made the loss even harder to process. The report showed Roy died from blunt force trauma and drowning. But what shocked everyone was the toxicology report. It showed a dangerous mix of drugs in his system, amphetamines at levels 10 times the therapeutic range, along with morphine, antidepressants, and a sleep aid. The questions were unavoidable. Was it a moment of poor judgment or the weight of something more deep? Roy had reached the peak of his career, but seemed to be facing battles no one fully understood. Whether it was an accident or a tragic reflection of deeper struggles, the result was the same. The baseball world lost one of its greatest, and his family lost someone irreplaceable. The tributes poured in, showing just how much Roy meant to the game. Stadiums across the league held moments of silence. Teammates and friends shared stories of his unmatched determination, charity, and love for his family. 2 years later, in 2019, the Hall of Fame inducted him posthumously, firming his place among baseball's legends. Roy's wife, Brandy, spoke with deep emotion about the man behind the stats. He was so much more than a baseball player. He was a husband, a father, and a man who gave everything he had in everything he did. Her words reflected the depth of their loss and the humanity behind his larger-than-life image. But his is a reminder of how fleeting life can be. And it wasn't the only time a baseball player's love for flying ended in heartbreak. Cory Lidle's tragic passing. This moment stands as one of baseball's most devastating stories. Cory Lidle was a steady and respected pitcher who gave 9 solid years to the majors. He played for teams like the Oakland Athletics, Philadelphia Phillies, and the New York Yankees, bringing professionalism and heart to the game every step of the way. Beyond baseball, Cory had the same passion as Roy Halladay. For him, the skies weren't just a hobby, they were a place of peace, an escape from the intensity of the mound. October 11, 2006, just days after the Yankees were knocked out of the playoffs, Cory piloted his small, fixed-wing Cirrus SR-20 over New York City. His plane accidentally entered restricted airspace. As Cory and his flight instructor tried to correct their path, the aircraft crashed into the 20th floor of a 50-story condominium on East 72nd Street overlooking the East River. The aftermath was a mess. Flames consumed part of the building as debris scattered across the streets below. Cory and his instructor lost their lives on the impact. 26 others were injured in the surrounding area. The scene left witnesses frozen in disbelief. One onlooker recalled, "I stood at the fountain in front of my building, staring at the flames and watching huge pieces of debris crash to the ground. It was unreal." Fans and players alike struggled to make sense of the sudden loss. Yankees captain Derek Jeter captured the shared sorrow, saying, "It's just a reminder of how precious life is." For Cory's friends and family, the pain was unimaginable. MLB moments that bring love and joy can also be filled with emotions. Moments like this remind us how life can be unpredictable. It's wild. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry. Still, a player getting betrayed is crazy, but it's nothing compared to an eagle landing on a baseball player's head, or a fan throwing pizza at a player. Click on the next video to see 1 in a million MLB moments.